grew up with 5 brothers
Mm-hmm.
and 2 sisters. And my parents gave a home to a man that didn't have a home. There were 2 brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and he lived with us till he died as a part of the family. Do you know where the Flannery Farm is? One of the biggest ones. It's from Southville towards Edie. It has 7 horse-door silos on it now.
Mm-hmm.
We took a farm that was run down and was lost during the Depression, and nobody bought it. Beautiful land, but the buildings were down. We were poor. It was my husband's original Maurer that came from Germany, and we lived in the log house.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we had 2 daughters that didn't marry a farmer, so we had to sell it. His health gave away. Of what life was from a child, how I lived through 100 years of the changes of our country. I lived them all, I think, and I experienced a lot with a large family, born on a large farm, and going the same way the second time. If you want to know the stories, I could tell you. And of course, I see my mother live to be 100, and I have her pictures and the whole story. We wrote sort of the story afterwards. She was presented with her certificate from the commissioners. When we always had lots of hoes to hoe corn, hanging in the shop like this. We hoed corn from the time it was big enough to hoe till we started to make hay the 1st of July. And we always complained how hard we had to work. The faster we hoed, the quicker we got done. And the more weeds, the longer it took. I think I call us, we were the chemicals in those days instead. We were the chemicals that they use today.
How do you mean that?
Well, today they use all these chemicals to kill the weeds. We had to hoe them. Do you understand? I was Mother's helper. Mother was the one that went to the barn and milked the cows and fed the chickens, the pigs. And she said that I was the one that tried to milk a cow when I was 4 years old. My older sister was the one that stayed in and did the housework. I became a regular tomboy to doing all this outside work with my mother. And we as children, we often asked Mother, what are we having for dinner today? What do you want to make for dinner? She'd answer, we'll have winter noss and what's left we'll warm up for supper. Are you gonna bite?
I don't. Yeah. What are they? Explain that.
Winter noss. I asked the ladies in where I quilted. Only one could answer that question.
What?
Lynn Schellenberger. Winter noss is nothing. See, I'm getting it. Mother would say, If we didn't have to eat, I wouldn't have to work so hard, because all our food was manufactured on the farm. I can tell you, I went with my brother to get her groundhog, my oldest brother. We got the groundhog. We hit him over the head with the shovel. I have quite a mind. We brought the groundhog home. We got it ready for Mother to we and roasted it for supper.
Was it good?
Yes. Now she soaked it in salt water or something to take the wild taste out. Yes, that was a common thing in those days for them to eat groundhog. All the fruit was canned. All the vegetables were canned. Dried corn, dried beans, dried apples, which is called snits. And there was nothing better than to go and get in the bag and get a dried apple snits instead of candy. If I was hungry, my brothers wanted something to eat. What did we didn't have soft drinks, pop, cookies. But we knew what that we could have for a snack. A piece of bread with apple butter. Or go out to the apple orchard and pick an apple up. Or go get a pear. When we had our church festival, and we'd get 15 cents or a quarter. And when that was spent, that was all. But we could buy an ice cream cone, a box of Cracker Jacks, and we looked, as children, I looked forward of us going to the different festivals that were held to make money for the church. And that very interesting life. And we as children, see, I with my brothers loved to play in the corn crib in the summertime, go to the granary. We had our swings in the apple, old up in the hill in the apple tree. We had our seesaw on a strong gate. We played what we called then gumball. We didn't have money to buy a ball. Many times it was made wrapped with binder twine, cord, anything to make a ball. We went fishing down at the little stream. We went to the woods and got a pole, put some kind of line on. The only thing we bought or could buy was a fishing hook. And about my brother, Levi, Delbert, and Charles. The three, I was the older of the three. We did so many things together. Rode the hay wagon, was loaded on it with hay. We were crawled up at top and went. At one field we came down over, and it was a steep hill in the field, and we made the curve like this and this. And when we made the curve out in the road, the horses couldn't hold it back enough, went too fast in the load of hay, and the children all went down over the fence in the next field.
But everybody was okay?
Huh?
Everybody was okay, though?
Yes, we didn't get hurt. We grew up without the telephone. We grew up without electric light. We grew up without running water. We grew without a dishwasher. And it was the outside outhouse. Happy 100th birthday. We think you ought to celebrate with laughter, cake, and cheers. It isn't very often, that one sees 100 years.